Hello, Mark here with My Engineering, and for today's video, we're going to be spending a little bit of time looking at how to take the scan data from the floor, the floor mat area of your car, in order to make some 2D cross sections that you can use to actually make floor mats. The reason we're talking about this one is it's come up multiple times in the about a year and a half I've been with My Engineering. We've had a handful of companies reaching out to us asking for, is there a solution for this? And the answer is yes, and it's actually really quite simple. So I'm just going to walk through that today. I'm actually going to skip the scanning portion. The scanning portion is probably the easiest problem to solve in this workflow. You can use a number of different scanners. We have found the most success with the Scantech SimScan line of scanners, the blue light lasers. They actually perform very well, especially on like the brand new, when you have that black carpeting, like that floorboard carpeting, that it just absorbs all lights. Sometimes structured light scanners will struggle with it. Infrared scanners absolutely struggle with it. The blue light lasers that are on the SimScan line are very good. They're very intense, and the sensors pick it up very well. So in terms of the actual data acquisition side of it, we feel like that one's actually a problem that's solved. It's just here's your solution, this is the product that we recommend. How to take that data now, that's where it gets a little bit more complex, because we want to take basically a well type of shape. It's where you got the floor boards of the car. You want to create a three-dimensional floor mats, possibly, you want to get the sides that go up to the center console, the back that goes up towards behind the pedals, and there's that little lip underneath your seat. So there's definitely a 3D shape. You're probably going to have a bunch of different pieces that you're going to cut and sew together. So in that scenario, we're going to need to have a bunch of different shapes. And so we're going to walk through that very quickly here. And we're going to be using Quick Surface. That's the software that we found a very simple workflow. It's a very affordable software, and it's a great solution. All right, so we are now looking at Quick Surface Pro version 2025. And I have brought a scan already in here. This is one that we completed on a large pickup truck, the passenger floor area. And as you can see, there is a lot of kind of floor geometry here. And I'm going to go a little bit overboard, and I'm going to make different patches for all the different surfaces. So we'll have one for the side of the center console here. We're going to have the main floor area. We're going to have where it slopes up, and maybe just a little bit in front of the seat here. So what we need to do, and this is not a very complicated process, but we're going to create polylines closing off individual areas. Where we're going to do that is in the Surfacing tab, and we want to do 3D Sketch. And so the default mode that it goes to is the adding a curve. So this, we can just basically add polylines along the sides of the areas that we want to create. And as you can see, as you bend the line around, it tries to make a nice consistent curve. So you can add as many points as you want to kind of follow a curve. But every time you attach a node, it will reattach it to the mesh underneath. In that location. If you double click, it finishes the line, and then we can pick up that again. Stop one there. And make a nice little S curve right along the door. And if you ever in this software kind of make a weird shape or drop a node somewhere you didn't really want to, it's not bad. You can just go ahead and move it right after. I'm going to finish this line here. So we can pick our pointer selection, and we can zoom in. Let's say we want to move this one here just a little bit over. That's fine. You can edit it very easily. Once we have a complete line around, that is where, actually I'm going to move this one because I did some weird stuff right here. Fix that a little bit. That looks a little bit better. And we can say, okay, so we have one complete shape. What we're going to need to do in order to turn this into a flat piece, so if we kind of look at it from the side, it has some 3D, it's actually not too bad, it's a little bit flat, but there is some 3D shape to it. So we can't really export this as a 2D shape into whatever the CNC machine is or the software that we're going to use to create the CNC cut surfaces. So we want to click on our fill surface function. We're going to click on one part of the chain, so you can see it just highlights the part that I'm hovering over. If you have this little text box here selected where it says select edge chain, then it will populate that whole area. You can kind of see how it's interacting with the data. There's a little bit where the line or the plane kind of goes through the scan data. If we click on scan data, it will actually adjust that whole surface to try and fit the underlying scan data very closely. So we're going to say OK. And then the last step that we need to do in order to make a surface here, we can click on it again. And we have on the top here again our flatten. We do that and it will just create a 2D cross section out here in space. But as we said in the beginning of this video, we want to do, say, the side of the center console here. We want to go right up to the front. So we're going to create a few more patches. Okay, so the process to add extra panels to this one that we already created is going to be actually pretty simple as well. We're going to go back to our 3D sketching tool, and that's under the surfacing tab. And we basically just have to do the same thing that we did with the first one, but we can attach the second panel to the first one. So I'm just going to click on the corner little node here, and then we can attach all the way across. Yeah, that's pretty close there. Now we've created another box. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to do that same fill surface, except this time I'm going to deselect the select edge chain. The reason why is it will try and select everything that's connected in order to create a single surface. We want to actually tell it which ones we want it to select. So connect those four. Once we have a complete closed loop, it will automatically give you a preview of the surface that's in there. We're going to click on scan data again, and that's going to try and stretch that mesh so it actually represents the underlying mesh that's underneath it. We're going to hit OK. Now we have surface number 2. And if we want, we can go ahead and do the fill surface, or pardon me, we already did fill surface, flatten as well on this one. So we select that surface, and we're going to hit flatten. Now we have another one over here. And so I'm going to hide that flatten and fill again. And I'm going to do one more with you guys watching, and then I'll just finish the rest without you guys watching. So again, 3D sketching tool. I'm going to select this little corner node, and we want to come all the way up to the center console. Double click to finish a corner. So that one is good. So we now have 3 separate little panels here. I'm going to do a fill surface on this third one. We select the edge chain that we want to use. And again, once we have a closed loop, it will fill it with what it thinks is going to be a surface that will represent that. But we want it to be on scan data to try and represent the geometry between all these little polylines that we created. And that looks pretty good. We'll hit OK one more time. And so you can see it's pretty simple. We have a third little panel here. The process of creating each little patch is actually quite straightforward. I'm going to do a few more without recording just inside of here. And then we're going to be left with a little pile of these 2D parts that we can send over to our CNC table. So just to review, we've looking at our little model here. We have all these nice closed little polylines making these little patches, if you will. And then we created all these fill surfaces. So we can select on all these again. And yeah, there's a couple more here just behind my pause button, so I can't actually hit them right now. Oh, there we go. And so we have all these fill surfaces, but they are 3D surfaces, which is not something that we can really use in our CNC software. So I'm just going to inverse all this and just look at our flattened surfaces. We have those and a couple more there. These are all, you can see they're 2D, they're sitting on the same plane, they're right around the 0, 0 axis, which is why they're just kind of floating out there in space. And each one of these is now ready to export. They will be exported as a DXF file, so I'm just going to, there's one more I missed. If we double click on one of these in our little feature tree in the bottom left, our feature tree, our object tree, you'll see if you kind of look at the menu that pops up, at the lower end of it, you'll have DXF. R14 is the version I'm going to be playing with. And you have the options. There's a few different other formats you can work in, like IGES, DXF R12. You can transfer it right to Inventor. But we're more interested in the DXF format here. So we're going to leave that as what it is, and you hit the export, and you can save that file now as a DXF file. And that 2D file is what you're going to use in your, whether it's a CNC table or whatever sort of software you're going to be using after you're done creating this. But those pieces, once they're, even though they're a two-dimensional file, once they're, I guess, created and built into 3D space, they will fit perfectly as they would if they were the original 3D polyline, if you will, box that you created on the mesh file. So that is the entire process. Just to review everything right start to finish, we use a Scantex scanner to get our scan data, simply because it was the only scanner that we've tried that consistently gave us very good results. Once we had our scan data, we brought it into Quick Surface. So we were using Quick Surface 2025 today. We need to draw our polylines around the areas that we want to create, in this case, a floor mat for. This isn't going to be necessarily exclusive for floor mats. You could use it for any other kind of similar 3D application, but we're going to stick with floor mats for the purpose of this video. We fill in that little closed loop that we've now made to create a fill surface that mimics the scan data underneath it. Then we flatten that surface to create a 2D file. That 2D file is the DXF that we export, and we can now use in our CNC cutting machine, whatever we might have that we want to create our actual physical patches from. And that's it. I wish there was more that I could tell you, but it is such a simple process. Quick Surface does such a good job that this is a very simple video. If there's anything else that you guys would like to see, you can always reach out to us. We're always happy to respond, give either with comments or if there's other workflows that you want to see. So you can leave that in the comment section below, or you can send us an email directly, support@myeng.ca. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.